I'm not sure at that point in time in the race that was the smartest move. And I'll just put it that way. Maybe fall in line behind your teammate, push your teammate past that guy, and then go race your team. This is not checkers we're playing. It's not a double jump here.
Hey race fans, welcome into another episode of Backseat Drivers. This time we're following Fontana, and it's hard to follow up the great racing that we saw out in California, but man, I can do it with these two. I have Coon and Kyle Petty here in the back seat. 400 miles, 200 laps. Auto Club put on quite the show. It's kicking off our West Coast swing, and man, did it kick it off in a great way. KP, what did you think of the racing?
Old school. I did. I thought, Tyler Reddick obviously dominated the first couple of segments, but I think when you looked at it, you could pass. We saw people and that's part of that speedway too. I mean, there's so many grooves. But when we got down to the end, the top 10, there are 9 different organizations in the top 10. That's old school. That's Wood Brothers, David Pearson. That's old school. That's when Childress had 1 car, not 4 or 5 cars, or when Hendrick had 1 car, not 4 or 5. So I think the parity that we saw yesterday was pretty fascinating. Now, I'm not saying it's going to always be there, but yesterday it was there and it was cool.
Casey, what'd you think?
I have to agree. You had everything you could want out of a race. You had the parity, 9 different organizations in the top 10. You had 32 different lead changes. Yes. These cars were hard to drive. You talked to the front row, Austin Cindric and Eric Jones, and they were like, this is the most challenging car we've had to drive. We saw single car incidents, and that just shows you how difficult these cars were to drive. And then you had a worn-out racetrack, and I think we're making the case for it not to change. But again, everything you could want out of a race, I think we saw yesterday. The ability to pass was the major thing for me, because the 2 guys there at the end, Kyle Larson and Joey Logano, they started at the rear of the field, and we saw other cars that were able to move through the field throughout the race. So everything you could want.
Speaking of old school, we had Matt Kenseth in the boot. Mark Martin was up there. Man, we just had the whole old school crowd going.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, maybe not something that's a little old school, but we have 2 youngins over at Hendrick who maybe didn't ride the same plane on the way home, or at least didn't sit together. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. The teammates got into it, and man, oh man, did it really spice things up. I tweeted out a pepper emoji just because of how spicy I thought the radios were getting. But Kim, what'd you see from the Kyle Larson versus Chase Elliott debacle?
I gotta say, I'm team Larson. At the end there, I do not think Larson was at fault. He was so focused on Joey Logano, even his spotter Tyler, so focused on keeping the lead. And who could have expected the run that Chase Elliott got on the outside? He had no idea it was his teammate. And then on the flip side, Chase got a little chippy on the radio, and he stayed out there. He knew his car was broke. Yeah. He knew it was going to happen because it happened earlier in the race. He elected to stay out, and so I can't imagine the competition meeting this week is going to be that fun to be in.
Yeah, and listen, I agree with all of that, because I think when you are the leader and you're protecting that lead, you're looking at that one guy. You can't look like Marty Feldman and look both ways at the same time when your eyes go this way like this. That's an old reference there. So anyhow, but the thing was, I think what we saw a little bit was the product of the car. And I go back to Daytona when Joey Logano blocked in the qualifying race, and he said, they just close so much faster than they used to. I'm just not used to that closure rate. I think the closure rate is so much faster with this car that by the time Kyle Larson reacted, it was too late. It was too late. And it did put the 9 in. Listen, that was a bold move. That was a bold move by Chase Elliott. I'm not sure that was it just going that way. I'm not sure at that point in time in the race that was the smartest move. And I'll just put it that way. Maybe fall in line behind your teammate, push your teammate past that guy, and then go race your teammate. But don't try to get 2 for 1. This is not checkers we're playing. It's not a double jump here. So let's take our time. So I appreciate what he was trying to do, but I still think I can't argue with you. You win. You win this one.
That's okay. Well, Kyle Larson's spotter Tyler did take to Twitter. It's gotten a lot of quote tweets, retweets, likes, whatever else. KP, I know you love some Twitter people.
Listen. If you're a spotter, don't take the blame. The driver hangs onto the steering wheel. The driver is the guy in charge. You just give him information. It's not your fault. It's the driver's fault.
The driver has a rearview mirror.
Yeah, anything that goes on with that car, listen, I'm not ever blaming a spotter. That goes straight back to a driver. I'm sorry.
All right, well, Tyler said he made a mistake. He's taking full responsibility, so whether or not we agree with that.
I don't.
Okay. We don't. Tyler, we do not think you are to blame here. Well, will this affect Hendrick's team dynamics? Kim, you also mentioned that the meetings were not going to be fun this week. I just want to read a little snippet of what Kyle Larson said post-race. He said, either way, I'm sure Chase Elliott, will still be upset even if we're on the same page or not. It's just a conversation that we'll have. We're both young. We both respect each other. Paraphrasing, Hendrick Motorsports, I don't think we'll ever let it get to that point.
Now, I don't think we're going to see something from the outside necessarily, but I do think this has been festering with Chase. He won the championship in 2020. Then he has to watch his teammate, the new guy at Hendrick, Kyle Larson, win 10 races last season.
Yeah.
Dominate.
Yeah.
More than just 10 races, win 10 races, win the championship. So I think it was already kind of in a place where maybe Chase wasn't exactly happy with kind of how the organization was going in terms of what his car was able to do versus Kyle's and that team. And I think this is just, it's not going to be the straw on the camel's back, but I think slowly but surely it's going to start to fester. I don't think we're going to see an incident where Chase intentionally does something to Kyle, but maybe he doesn't give him an inch when it comes down to the line.
Not a spin to bring the car
No, I don't know. No, Rick won't let it get that far with these two. Rick will call him in. But I will say this, and I'll speak from a driver's perspective. At 3 o'clock in the morning when you wake up, okay, and you're laying there in bed and you're staring at the ceiling, and your teammate won 10 races and a championship, it tears your butt up. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't go back to sleep because that's where Kyle Larson has gotten under Chase and gotten into Chase's head. Not this accident. You know, this is just a little spur. This is just a little burr in the saddle. But the big thing is getting your butt kicked every week on the racetrack. And I think that will make Chase, long run, a better driver because Chase knows he's got to up his game. And Rick's always had that. If we go back and you look at Jeff Gordon, if you look at Dale Jr., if you look at Jimmy Johnson, they feed off each other. Right. That's what keeps that team ahead. So he's got two guys positioned to carry him for a long, long time. And then I'm telling you, William Byron's going to be the man. Believe me, I'm a William Byron fan.
We've said this for a long time. We'll get to William a little bit later in the show, but Chase Elliott did last week sign the contract extension. So guess what, guys? You're not going anywhere. You're there. So figure it out. A team that looked like they had it figured out in Fontana, however, was Richard Childress Racing. Man, what a day for the bow ties over there at RCR. Let's first talk about Tyler Reddick. KP led the most laps he's ever led in his whole entire career. It was really his race to lose. Man, oh man, sick for T-Red.
You feel bad. Listen, Tyler Reddick's been to California twice this year for the LA Coliseum and here, had the dominant car both places and comes away with nothing. So you feel bad for him, but I think that's a glimpse into who Tyler Reddick is and what Richard Childress Racing can be.
So Kyle Larson is quoted saying that Tyler Reddick has a breakthrough year and gets multiple wins this season. You agree?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I was really surprised we came out of last year and he didn't have a win. Because I think there were a couple of times when if things had fallen the right way, and look, if things had fallen the right way so far this year, he'd be sitting here two for three as far as the Cup cars being on track.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind the first win for Tyler Reddick in the Cup Series comes this year. Kim, what say you?
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say we're going to see a lot of this from Tyler Reddick in terms of him leading lots of laps, him being the car to beat, and then ultimately not getting the job done. I think he will win. I think it's going to be one race this season for Tyler Reddick. Because remember, he hasn't won his first Cup race, so he's got to get that monkey off his back first.
So you think he's the modern day, or the new Kyle Larson? Because that was the Kyle Larson knock.
I think that's the path he's taken.
Yeah.
Once he gets past that, I think give him this season to have that kind of Kyle Larson moment
Great point.
I'm so close to getting my first win. I'm leading all these laps. Something didn't happen in the closing laps for me. He gets one win this season, and then I think next season and beyond, it's the Tyler Reddick show.
So 5 years, Tyler Reddick, you'll have a championship.
It's the
5-year plan.
Exactly. Well, on the flip side of that team, he ended up getting a P2 finish out in Fontana. And I know the three, I saw Whitney and Muriel's Snapchats and Instagrams all night long screaming at the television. So Austin Dillon has to be pretty proud of what he brought home too.
Yeah, I thought Austin ran a smart race. Was he up there leading the race? Was he up there running in the top 5 all day long? No, he wasn't. You know, he wasn't. He showed up at the end when it counted, and he took the check home. And that's what matters in the end. But I think he drove, I think Austin has come into his own as a driver. I think he's a lot smarter driver this year than he was 4 or 5 years ago. We talk about a 5-year plan than he was 4 or 5 years ago. So that whole organization, but I think great day for Austin and for that team.
Kim, 83, multiple wins, 1 win, no wins?
I think he gets 1 win. I'm going to give each of the RCR drivers 1 win, but I want to bring up something Kyle was talking about before we went on air, and that's the bow ties. If you're wearing a bow tie on the front of your car, it is good news. And so I think seeing the strength from RCR, seeing the strength from Petty GMS, seeing the strength from Trackhouse, it is a good time to be a Chevrolet driver. And you know, last season we saw dominance from Hendrick, but we didn't really see as much from the other Chevrolet teams. Something with this new car is working in favor of the bow ties.
All right, we like the next-gen Camaros. Well, the driver mistakes that we saw, however, came from all of the camps. Kyle's already laughing at me, but we saw them in practice. We saw them in qualifying. Auto Club was a difficult beast for these next-gen cars, made these cars hard to drive. KP, were you surprised by that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look, what I see, 25% of the cars that were on track on Saturday spun out. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's an amazing statistic when you look at the Cup level. But this car, these guys asked for a little bit more horsepower, shorter spoilers, less downforce. We know they don't have the side force. So there's a snapping point now. You can't get it out there and hang it out and lay on that cushion of air. You get it out there, there's the cushion, and then there's nothing. We saw Kyle Busch. We saw Kevin Harvick wipe out a car. I mean, when you look at that, so I think that is a sign that it's a driver's year. This is going to be back in the hands of the drivers. The cars have to perform, don't get me wrong, they have to hold up. But the guys that can drive race cars, the guys that you know have that talent, are going to step up to another level.
I wasn't surprised in the spin-outs. I don't necessarily consider that a mistake because this is learning. There's so much with this current generation of car that the drivers don't know. So I don't think we can even call those mistakes yet because they're trying to find the edge.
Learning spins.
Learning spins. But there were actual mistakes in the race. We saw a handful of drivers get speeding penalties. So if you're a driver, control what you can control in terms of the actual mistakes. Like, why weren't drivers doing a better job of controlling the things they could versus the stuff they don't necessarily know about the next-gen car?
This will be a simple answer, and we can do a letter grade, you can do a check mark, however you want to do it. KP, overall impression of this intermediate package?
After one race, an A+.
Oh.
Just after one race. Come back after 5 or 6 races. After one race.
I don't know if I've ever heard him say that.
I'm going to say an A+ after one race.
I'm just going to give it an A, not the plus, because it's a single race. I'm going to, on the flip side, it's a single race, so is it going to perform as well at other intermediate tracks?
Exactly.
We don't know because Southern California is so characterful.
Right.
We don't have that at all the other intermediates.
Yeah. All right, well, we're about to find out on the West Coast Swing. This rapid response is powered by 5-Hour Energy. As always, these are short and sweet, guys. Kim, I'm coming to you first on this one. A clear-cut organization to beat. Who is it?
I think it's Team Penske. I think throughout the beginning of the season, you take in the Clash, Daytona, and what we saw at Fontana, Team Penske is the organization that I'm watching so far each and every week.
Up until Fontana, Roger Penske was undefeated in 2022. In IndyCar too, just saying. KP, organization to beat. Okay,
so I hear what you're saying, but no one, as of yet, has given me any reason to believe you can knock Hendrick off the top. You know, what's that, 5 out of the last 7 races for Kyle Larson. They've run up front, they've set on poles, they've been in contention, they're there. And the Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott thing just gives me an added incentive to watch a little bit, but I say Hendrick.
The popcorn is already cooking. Okay, so I'm throwing a hypothetical out of there. Take Larson out of the situation. Still Team Hendrick?
I think so. Okay. I mean, you had William Byron up in there yesterday. You had Chase up in there most of the day yesterday. So, yeah, I still think it's Hendrick.
All right, next up. Most worried about, KP, we're starting with you on this one. Christopher Bell, Harrison Burton, or William Byron?
None of them. None. I'm not worried about any of them. Okay. And I go back to the previous question because of the organizations they're with. Okay, I would be worried about them at another place. Yeah, they've got a slow start. But if we look at what's happened to them, most of their stuff has been mechanical, freak, wrong place, wrong time. Poor Harrison Burton.
Stay away from Keselowski.
I mean, he's run well. He's run well, but he has nothing to show for it. We look at Bell yesterday. The whole team suffered through that. So I don't see. 2 races in, I'm not worried about it. Come back again. Okay. Let's go 5 races into it, and then I may be worried.
I'll ask you. Casey, same question to you.
I'm going to say I'm actually worried about Bell. Not worried about Burton. He's a rookie. He's raced around Keselowski. He's found himself
Avoid the 6.
Near the 6, which has not done him any favors in the last 2 races. And then Byron, I think he was that was bad luck. He ended up being near Reddick. Bell, though, to me, it's like, will he have a season where he wins? I don't know. And I'm actually looking at the entire JGR organization. I'm going to argue against you. I'm concerned about them. I know it's Daytona you can't really think about because it's such a unique race, but they only had one of their drivers in the top 10. And then Fontana, 0 JGR cars in the top 10. So they got to figure something out over there. I know it's still early, but I'm not necessarily concerned specifically on Bell, but what does the JGR picture look like?
Great point. That's a great point. That's a valid point.
Next up, which team has surprised you the most? Casey, I know we're 3 races in, 2 points pain technically, but have you had a surprise circled yet?
I'm surprised that Colleague Racing has been so strong out of the gate. I know we expected good things for them because of the course they've taken in the Xfinity series, but I did not expect them to be this fast and be contenders, be guys that we saw up front throughout the races we've seen so far this season this soon. And I'm very impressed with their program so far.
Good cup start.
I go with Ricky Stenhouse and JTG Daugherty. Had a shot at Daytona.
Do you have your Honey Nut Cheerios?
Yeah, listen, I should have, but they had a shot at Daytona. They run in the top 5 most of the day yesterday. When have we seen a team that we look at in the organizational chart be maybe a B team right along in there, maybe a top C team if you look at it, run and be competitive with Hendrick cars and Penske cars and Gibbs cars, and not only be competitive, lead, draft, whatever it may be, and put up those numbers. So I look at that team. That team's really surprised me.
All right, I'm going to throw in my mix. I'm looking at one more so out of this organization than the other one, but both have impressed me. I'm going with Trackhouse. And we all 3 have Chevys, so take that what you will.
Yes.
Okay, last one. 2 more. Which under the radar team are you watching this season? This is kind of a little bit similar to our answers, but KP, we're starting with you on this one.
You know what? I'm looking at 2311. I really am, because I think.
Are you calling them under the radar?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because until we go to Daytona and Talladega and you pay attention to them, anywhere else, I don't care what Bubba does. He doesn't do anything. Yeah, and he hadn't. So let's be honest.
Yeah.
You put Kurt Busch into that organization. Kurt Busch has helped every organization he's gone to, the last 3 or 4. We go back to Front Row. We go wherever he goes, he ups their level of play. So I think they're under the radar from a competition standpoint. Now, as far as media and press, yeah, they're the top of the heap. But as far as you don't expect them to do anything. So I think to see what Kurt does, I'm interested in that.
I got to go Petty GMS. Having a Petty GMS car on the front row at Fontana was not something I had on my bingo card. I'm curious to see kind of where Ty Dillon falls in that stack. We saw how aggressive he was at the Clash. I don't know that we've necessarily, seen as much out of him as we have Eric Jones the last 2 races, but very curious to kind of follow them and see where their path takes them throughout the season.
Not just because we have a Petty here at the table. Pretty cool to see the 43 running
yes,
in front of Fontana.
Yes,
that was awesome. All right, last one. Season win total. I mentioned him before in my team that surprised me the most, but the 99 of Daniel Suarez. Kim?
I'm going 1 win. I think he gets his first Cup Series win. I don't think it's a multiple win season for Daniel Suarez. Ooh.
I just threw a curveball.
Tough.
Not on
That's like a could it go either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want him to make the playoffs.
Yes.
I think if they can consistently finish, top 10s, get strings of those, yes. But with the parity we've seen, it might be a season where we have more winners than we have spots.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's really
all right, Daniel Suarez, season win total.
I only think he gets 1 win. I'd like to see that organization get a couple of wins.
Suarez in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think so, because I think he's learned enough coming through the Xfinity Series what it takes to be a champion. And I think he's learned enough being in the Cup Series to understand sometimes it's okay to take that 9th place and not try to turn it into a 6th place. Just get your points and go to the house. And I think that gets him in the playoffs. All
right, well, a strong showing for Trackhouse Racing so far this season. More to come on there. But we've had Steve Letarte on here who has broken down how these backseat bets work. So for the new kids here, it still confuses me sometimes, but these are just directly head-to-heads. So it is who finishes ahead of who. So don't worry about who's going to win the race, what the odds are, whatever. Head-to-head. All right, so first up, Cam, let's start with you on this one. This one's going to be fun. Chase Elliott versus Kyle Larson.
You have to pick Kyle Larson. I don't know how you not pick Kyle Larson, and it pains me because you hate to have the same pick week after week after week, but Kyle Larson.
All right, KP?
I have to go Kyle Larson too. Until somebody knocks him off, you know, it's the same thing. Until somebody knocks the guy off the top of the mountain, he's the guy.
Yeah, okay. All right, this next one, also some history and some good old blood in this one too. Joey Logano versus Kyle Busch, KP.
Joey Logano. Listen, you could put anybody down here. I'm a Joey Logano fan. Everybody knows that, so I'm going to pick Joey. But I just think Joey is, it doesn't make any difference. He gets the most out of the car. Never gives up. I go Joey.
I hate to not pick somebody different, but Joey Logano, you have to. And back to my thoughts on JGR still not figuring out exactly what they need from the car this season. Joey Logano, plus wins the Clash, so fast at Daytona. Fontana is going for the lead. He's a former winner at Vegas, so you got to go the 22.
All right, easy for both. Next one, two young guns, Tyler Reddick versus William Byron, Kim.
As much as I want to pick Tyler Reddick, I'm going to go William Byron because wait,
I'm just gonna agree.
There's a reason.
I know.
Restarts at Vegas are so important, and William Byron has shown, I think he had some of the best numbers in 2021 in terms of retaining his spot.
And consistency.
In restarts, and so I think that's going to be key. So William Byron.
William Byron.
Okay.
I'm sorry, William Byron. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a William Byron fan. William Byron.
Right. Last one, Austin Dillon versus Kurt Busch.
You know what? I'm going to go Kurt Busch. I am. Because we're going to Vegas. Okay, and I think Kurt just carries a little bit of attitude in there. He wants to do good there. I just go Kurt.
Kurt Busch had 133 green flag passes yesterday at Fontana.
That's a lot. If you don't know, that's a lot.
Right, Austin Dillon, Kurt Busch.
Good for Kurt Busch. I'm picking Austin Dillon. We finally disagree, and that's because there is a bow tie on the front of that 3 car, and the Chevys, they've been so fast so far this season. We saw what they could do at Fontana. Interested to see what they're able to do at 1.5 miles, but going with the bow tie over Toyota.
That whole segment is presented by BetMGM, and you guys are in store for some fun. So, man, that sign on, we appreciate you being here, but good luck with us. Disagreeing, agreeing, whatever. Well, fitting that we are talking about betting and BetMGM and the odds, because we're heading to Sin City. Las Vegas is up next. It's the second race of this West Coast swing. Drivers always say that Auto Club, Vegas, Phoenix, this is when you know what you're working with, and this second race may determine how well this intermediate package is going to be for some. Let's get our picks. The long-winded answer of saying who's in victory lane on Sunday. KP, who you got?
You know what? I'm going to go with Alex Bowman. Okay, I know we've not even mentioned him here. But
we're going to pull the 24 flag
he just seems to, well, you know what? He just seems to step in at those odd moments and win a race and break the momentum for everybody else. Somehow, I don't know how he does it. When you look at
third, let the tire go down.
I know, whatever. But you look at it and I say, okay, this is his kind of racetrack. You can run high, you can run low, you can be around, and back to the bow tie, he's in a Chevy.
All right, Alex Bowman over there, 48. Kim, who you got?
I'm my own worst enemy. And that's because I don't like to pick cars that have just won, so I can't pick Kyle Larson, and he has a good shot at winning. I picked Ryan Blaney for Daytona, so I don't want to pick him again, even though he's very good at Vegas, and I think this could be his race to win. So I'm going to go with Joey Logano. Yeah, 22 in victory lane at Las Vegas.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson because I'm going to pick the winner. I'm 2 for 3 so far, guys, in the season, so I have to keep it up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
This is the best I've ever done.
That's impressive.
Don't let me down 5. Just kidding. But I'm also keeping an eye on Logano, and I like the Bowman pick. Sneaky pick.
Yes, something different.
Sneaky pick. All right, well, we are out in Sin City, and all bets are off. The next-gen cars, first time hitting the track for Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Make sure and tune in to the race Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox, 12:30 over there on the West Coast. But we'll see you guys right back here next week in the backseat. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more clips, highlights, and full-length episodes. Also, check out NASCAR.com to stay up to date with all the latest news.